Right, everybody, welcome back to Brewed for Greatness. We've got a special guest with a Palmeiras as big as her 20-minute power. But to keep it short, Grace Brown, 2024 Olympic gold and the TT World Champion, winner of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, a previous winner of the Tour Down Under, but no achievement bigger than having a husband with the world's coolest name, Elliot. So congratulations from both Kurt and I on a great career, and thanks for coming on.
My pleasure to be here. You know, you've even got the same spelling of Elliot as my husband, Elliot. So
it's quite rare.
Well. Yeah, to have the two L's and one T.
Yeah. Usually it's one L, one T, or double T. It's a bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but only the best Elliots are spelled that way. So
let's go. Obviously, there's a massive amount of racing chat that we could talk to you about, but I guess just because it's fresh, we wanted to have a chat to you, I guess, about how retirement is treating you and how that's been, where you are, and what your plan for retirement is.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird process going from cycling being like your full life and getting up each morning and knowing like the one thing that you have to achieve each day is to get on your bike and just like crash yourself a little bit, to then waking up one day and being like, I don't have to do that anymore. It's sort of weird reshaping my idea of what exercise I need to do, like how much I need to eat in the day, just how I'm spending my time, whether I don't actually need to have 10 hours sleep anymore. Like,
don't need to do 100 grams of carbs an hour.
Yeah, like all these things that you just like, they sort of become a habit. You have to like rewire your brain. But then, it's also like the whole process of, okay, what am I doing with my life now?
So what exactly is the plan?
I'd like to say I'm just lying on my bed and like looking at the ceiling and twiddling my thumbs, but no, I've been like, it's been pretty flat chat since I've been back in Australia. I've been involved in a lot of the cycling events like Tour Down Under and Cadel Evans road race, and just going to, corporate events and speaking and doing Q&As, a bit of media stuff, getting involved with commentary. End of last year, I was doing a ton of podcasts.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it's nice. Like I've had a little bit of a break. So I'm fresh for this one, guys.
No, that's good. When I reached out, I was like, oh, I feel so guilty right now. Just like add us to the list, like chuck us in line.
Sorry, it's taken me a while to come on, but
that's
it's nice to talk to you. So for the future, like I've got a product that I'm developing and trying to build a business.
Cool.
I've got some podcasts of my own that I'm doing. So
nice.
It's there's a few things that I'm juggling. But
no, that works well.
How have you found stepping into the other side of the cycling world in regards to the corporate events and the commentating, whatnot? Have you found it really easy just to slot on in, or does it scare you a bit, or not really?
It doesn't really scare me because, I just have to be myself. I've done the hard work already. People are interested in hearing the stories about, especially my Olympic achievements and the world champs, and just, I think like 2024 in general. So I know that people are going to ask me questions and I can answer them. It's a little bit weird being at the races and being on the other side of the fence and, seeing your old teammates, but having this like distance from them now. I've heard of some riders, especially when they go from being a rider to working in the team, like overnight you go from being on the riders table to being on the staff table. And it was a bit like that when I arrived at Tour Down Under at the Hilton and I walked in at breakfast and I was like, like, who do I sit with? Like,
You sit with all the commissaires that you've been getting into arguments with over the years. You're like, I'm friends with you guys now, yeah?
Yeah, and you suddenly start meeting, like, when you're a rider, you're just so much in your own world, like focusing on like the immediate stuff around you.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you retire and you're on the other side, you start meeting all the people that are behind the scenes and actually like the reason why there are bike races.
Yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, it's sort of nice to get an appreciation for what actually happens.
Yeah. No, it's nice. Well, before we get into the racing chat as well, everybody knows that you're retired now and you're enjoying the retired life. But me and Ko were actually really curious to talk to you about how that decision was, especially after like how insane last year was. Like, was it bittersweet retiring, like ending on top? Or was there like a little bit of a fire to maybe want to go again? Or like, and also like the last one as well, like surely you had every single team just lining up and throwing themselves at you to go again. like how was that experience?
Yeah, it was sort of, it was hard because I announced my retirement. I'd already made the decision like pretty early in the year.
Yep.
And then I made the public announcement, I think, in June. So it was a month or so out from the Olympics. And at the time, like the response was like, oh no, you can't retire. Like you've got so much more to give. And then it was like, I won the Olympics and they're like, nah, you can't retire. And then I won the world champs and it was like, come on now. Like, yeah, it's like your world champion cannot retire.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think like my team, FGJ Swears, like they sort of came along the journey with me to the decision to retire. And I have quite a good relationship with the manager there. So he respected the decision and didn't push me to change my mind, which I really appreciated. But I was getting comments from, like, especially before I don't know when it was, but yeah, along the way I was getting comments from other teams about like, oh, you know, you could earn a lot of money next year.
Yeah. That's what we're saying. Well, it's like surely that would have been pretty tough to just not say yes to, just and go around one more time.
Yeah, and my manager was like, this is about what you could expect to earn next year if we went into some discussions here. And yeah, it's sort of hard not to consider that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you think like, I mean, everyone likes money.
Yep.
But yeah, I think in the end, I was just like like even if I agreed to do one more year and earn like a super high salary for 1 year, it's not going to change my life.
Yep. And
like the reasons for retiring still remain. Like I'm just kicking the can down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would have agreed to do another year, and then I would have got to this time of the year when it's like time to leave Australia, and I would have been like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yep.
Like, I don't want to go through this all again.
Yep.
And honestly, like around February when I had to get on the plane and go back to Europe, I was always so down.
Yep.
Because I just, like leaving Australia was the hardest thing. It always got fine once I was over there, but yeah. And also being in the races, like the more years you're there, I don't know if this happens to every rider, but I've spoken to a lot of older riders that like the more years you're in the peloton, the more you see like the danger, and you're just like each year you get through without dying, you're like
so messed up.
Yeah.
I know this. The danger is just ridiculous. And like even on the weekend, we saw like another sprint finish, and they had that that speed hump with like 200 meters to go. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Like it's insane. Like
yeah, that crash was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like who designed that finish? Honestly.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. In regards to coming to the decision, have you been thinking about it for a few years, or kind of just like you just came out of the blue and said, I'm not sure I want to do this again for another year?
I think it had been coming on for a couple of years. Like the first, like even before I went pro, I wasn't sure. Like I really had to think about the decision. Like, is this what I want to do? Because I was pretty happy in Australia, and I think because I didn't really go through like as a junior, as a cyclist, and always had that aspiration of being a pro, it sort of just like came to me later in the piece, and I was like, oh shit, like I never envisaged this being part of my life. So then you really have to make a decision, like, is this something that I want to do? And you see all the things that you're going to give up to do it. So I started off being like, I'm going to sign a 1-year contract, see how it goes, and if I hate it, I can stop. And then it was like, I'll do 1 more year. And it was just always like, I never wanted to overcommit. I think the longest contract I ever signed was 2 years because I never knew how I was going to feel.
Yeah.
So then, I think like in 2023 at some point, I just had a conversation with Elliot, my husband. Like he's stayed in Australia most of the time that I've been over, and just visited for, a few weeks at a time. Last year he came for 6 weeks, which was like the longest he ever came over for. And it was just like, we sort of can't do this forever, so we need an end point.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, 2024 is going to be the last year. And because it was the Olympic year, it was easy just to say I'm going all in. Like I definitely made more sacrifices last year than I had in any other year of my career, and it paid off. And it's sort of also part of that. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, you had such a good year. How could you stop at the end of that?" But also, part of the reason I had such a good year is because it was my last year, and I literally left no stone unturned. So it's sort of an interesting concept. If I hadn't have been retiring, like maybe I wouldn't have gone all in.
Yeah, see, that was my other question, is how did you find it a little easier to really rinse everything out of yourself, knowing that, this was it. After all this, there was kind of your light at the end of the tunnel, and it was a lot easier just to go to the well when you needed to and dig deep.
Yeah, it's not like I put myself through hell to do it, but it's like those things that you just deprive yourself of a little bit to be your best. Like I just was, I was a bit more like all the 1%ers, rather than leaving a little bit of like buffer comfort. And I think if I'd agreed to do another year, like it wouldn't have been as good as 2024.
Yeah, for sure.
Big thing too has got to be the lifestyle here in Australia, and what we're all used to is just so different. It's a real different world over there. I even know going on a holiday for 6 weeks. By the time I'm 4 weeks in, and I can't wait to get home. So I can't imagine spending majority of the each year over there.
Yeah, Australia is pretty good.
Yeah, really is.
Like Europe has a lot to offer. It's an amazing experience, but there's nothing like the comfort of coming back to Australia and just being like stuff works here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that we have to talk about this, but since you did win the Olympics, I feel like people who maybe haven't heard about it probably want to know about it, but they probably have heard about it. But more so just like talking like in a little bit more detail, like around that whole event, even like leading up to the Olympics, like the week of, like, are you somebody who deals with the pressure of it being such a major games really well? Do you find yourself in terms of like the nerves and pressure, like it just amplifies a little bit more, or are you pretty cool in those circumstances?
Yeah, it's pretty hard to avoid the pressure at the Olympic Games, like, and especially for me, like, I knew that Oz Cycling were behind me as like a potential gold medal. The Australian media had their headlines of Brown goes for gold or whatever it was, and also like I'm pretty sure my family had already, they'd written the story in their head that I was going to win. So
The ultimate manifestation.
yeah, they're like, it was done for them. But yeah, then that like, okay, I always take pressure on as like, that's really awesome that people believe in what I can do, and I use it as a motivator.
Yep.
But I was also getting like a little bit stressed about what if I don't meet everyone's expectations? What if I let everyone down? And I was fortunate to like talk to my sports psych about this, and he really helped me like reframe my focus.
Yep.
To not think so much about the outcome of the race, and really put all my energy into thinking about what actually was success for me, and that was to go out there and like really give my all and do my best effort. So then it was just like, okay, I'm gonna like thrash myself and go after every second. And I visualized everything up until the finish line.
That's good.
And then whatever was the consequence of that would be whatever it would be. And yeah, lucky for me, my best on the day ended up being a gold medal. But yeah, it was sort of, I think that mental process really helped me achieve it in the end.
Yeah, nice. To go back to like you said, like you're pretty dialed with the routine and visualizing the process and everything like that. Is there any specific like pre-race fire-ups that you do, like, or do you alter it depending on the course? And also, like, is there any like weird rituals in there that you have that you always do that is just super OCD?
I'm not like a super weird OCD sort of athlete. Like if stuff goes wrong, I'm pretty like, I wouldn't say that I'm a typical time trialist in that sense. Like I'm much more chill. But having said that, like I knew that I had to, like I knew to be the best, I needed to do a few things that weren't my strengths, which is like really focusing on the details and planning. So I planned heaps for the time trial in Paris, and like literally like basically my schedule for the day, like everything that I was going to do, including when I was going to switch off before the race and chill out. And then, yeah, also the race, like I'd planned every single corner in a lot of detail. So yeah, and I mean, I think in the end, like that really, really helped me, especially when it rained, because I was, well, it could have gone either way. I think, when you plan things too much and then you get really hung up on it going that way. But I was literally like, everyone's in the same boat. I just have to like adapt my plan to the circumstances, and off we go. Yeah. So that, like, I wasn't worrying about stuff outside of my control.
Nice.
With with the Olympics and Worlds, how far out does the specific block for that start? Like, I'm sure from the start of the year you've got it on your sites and that, but the last real big main block, and so like how far out does that start, and how much time a week are you spending specifically on the TT?
So I didn't really touch my time trial bike at all during like the spring classics. And then, so after the Ardennes, I then raced the Vuelta. I had a break. So it must have been mid-April, early May that I really started my like time trial focus. So, yeah, I guess that's like almost 3 months. But yeah, there's like racing in between. So I was doing like three sessions on the TT a week, at least.
Nice.
Yep. Are there any key sessions what is there a specific session you remember where you thought after it, yeah, this is I'm flying at the moment?
There were some sessions, I think. Oh, maybe that was before Worlds actually. Oh no, I think it was before Paris. Like I had to do these sessions where I would be doing like over threshold, and then I had to do like a 10-second acceleration.
Yep.
And then I'd have just like 10 seconds rest, and then I'd be back to like over threshold. I was like, or maybe it must have been rest, then acceleration, then back to threshold to replicate like the corners in the course. And like the first couple of times I did sessions like this, it was so hard. And then, yeah, like the closer I got, I just started like being able to do it. Yep. And it was like I could just lift. And it was like, all right, I think we're on.
So
like we can do this.
So like getting a specific to the course you're going to do is you think is the best way for you to prep for those, just in terms of those race sims?
Yeah, we I mean, you can't always do it.
Yeah, of course.
Like big championship events, and I always got pretty specific on what the actual course requirements were. So yeah, Paris was flat power, corners and accelerations, and like really dialing my position. So I put a lot of work into training like locked in, which is also a bit dangerous, but
chainring sizes like for like Worlds and Olympics?
Both. I ran a 60.
Yeah, nice. It's pretty big.
Yeah,
it's pretty big.
It was and it was really hard for Worlds because we had like quite a steady climb.
Yep.
And I was like right down in the like biggest cog at the back.
Yeah, nice.
And at the top I was like, give me another gear, please.
So it was a one bike?
Yeah, it was
a one bike.
Yeah, so it was I mean, it worked out in the end.
It did. It did.
Yeah, I was definitely looking for another gear.
In terms of the Worlds and Olympics, was there one that felt that bit sweeter, or were they? I guess was the pressure off a little kind of after the Olympics, and you just went in to the Worlds on a high, or how did that look?
Yeah, there was definitely less pressure for World Champs. I think there was like for Oz cycling, the Olympics is a lot more important because it dictates funding.
Yep.
So for them, that was like the number one goal of my year, and then World Champs like cherry on top. So I felt a lot less pressure from that side of things, and yeah, I think like all over, like people were just stoked that I won the gold in Paris.
Yep.
But there was still, like, we still wanted to go after world champs, obviously. But yeah, it was a lot more relaxed. And it was harder because I didn't get the opportunity to do the same, like, specific training block, because I was juggling, like, recovering after the Tour de France Femme,
Yep.
and then, like, a few races in between. And in the end, I really only had, like, a couple of weeks to prepare. But I just had to really ride off confidence. So, and definitely in, like, the finish of that race. So I don't know if you followed, but at the first time check at the top of the climb, I was 6 seconds in front of Demi Vollering. And then there was this sort of, like, up and down section and, like, a descent down to the lake. And she came in front of me by 9 seconds. And then it was a flat run to the finish of about 12K. And I was like, I just have to go all in. And it was so, like, I really turned myself inside out. And I don't think I would have been able to go that deep if I didn't have the belief that I could do it.
Yep.
Which I got from winning the Olympics. So yeah, I managed to turn the tables and end up 16 seconds ahead of her by the finish.
Me and Kurt were talking about this the other day, because we're talking about, like, if we have, like, that time trial mentality and, like, it takes a different person just to be able to just hurt themselves for that long. And, like, we both admitted that we don't have that in us.
They're a special breed.
Yeah, we're a bit sick.
Yeah, like, specifically for you, like, what is going through your head? Like, because I know when I do a TT, I'm just, like, thinking to myself the whole time, then I end up having a conversation in my head, and I don't know what I'm doing. So, like, what's going on in your head?
Yeah, it's changed. It really depends how I'm feeling. But to give you an example, like Glasgow last year, where I ended up coming second to Chloe Dygert by 5 seconds, in the last third of the race, I was like, I'm going so slow, I'm dying. Like, why am I continuing to hurt myself if I'm not even in the race anymore? This is stupid. And, like, really talking myself out of it. And yeah, and then, like, I ended up coming second by 5 seconds.
Oh.
And it's just like, if I'd had a better
mindset
and better, like, internal dialogue,
yeah,
surely I could have got that 5 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I was literally, like, looking for where I could, like, just, you know, like, back off a little bit and, like, give my legs a break.
But
yeah.
I was going to say, sorry, you go.
Yeah, but then in Zurich, like, it was the opposite thing. I was like,
I'm a beast.
I know that. Yeah, and also because of that experience, I was like, no, it could be 5 seconds. I need to get every second.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Before we, like, move on to the next topics, just curious on some, I don't know if you want to disclose or not, probably doesn't matter anymore, but, like, power numbers, like, what power numbers you were doing for those type of things, for, like, a Olympics and Worlds TT?
Yeah, so I, like, always forget the Worlds one because we didn't, like, even analyze.
No, that's yes. Yeah.
I think it was similar, like, normalized, but I can't remember the average.
That's good.
But for Paris, I averaged 300 watts for 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's in TT position as well.
It's
a lot. Do you feel you lose much percentage from going from your row to TT, like, for you?
No, I think it was, like, one of the things that allowed me to be really good time trials is that I could do pretty much the same power in time trial position.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
How much like aerodynamics and that of the team and investing into your TT position and whatnot?
A fair bit. Like, it was a cumulative thing over the years.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely for Paris, like some of the key things that made a difference was, well, I'd been in the wind tunnel like various points over the years and done aerodynamic testing on the track, but towards Paris, I went and got a special skin suit made with Vortec, which is like, those things make you feel so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually one of the biggest differences for me as well was the helmet. So just trialing like every brand of helmet, and the Met ended up being like super good
Yeah.
for my body shape.
It's a bit of a left field brand. Like it's not super popular.
Yeah, it looks a bit of a generic shape.
Yep.
But yeah, it was by far the best helmet for me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Shout out, Matt.
Yes.
It is amazing just how big of a difference the shape of a helmet can make with the body shape of the person. I don't think people realise just how big of a difference they can make if you find the right one that suits you.
Yeah,
with
the fact that it's individual to like different people as well. You can't just be like, oh, she wore that, so I'm going to wear that.
Yep.
Yeah, because you could be losing watts. Because of your TT expertise now, is there any desire to help, anyone with their TT and any other athletes, help them, I guess, prep or give some advice or whatnot?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up. I've had one athlete. I haven't advertised anything about this, but I had one athlete approach me just to see if I'd do some sort of consulting on them to prepare for a big time trial that they're doing. So yeah, like if there are people out there that have like specific goals in time trialing, then
that's cool.
I can do that. But yeah, I'm not like setting up a business around it or anything.
Yep.
That's good.
Nice.
Very cool.
Awesome.
I would definitely think you'll get some. Well, moving into the next side of things, I guess you've obviously been around women's cycling for a while now. Have you seen cycling for women improve since you began, and the biggest change that could be made to boost it even more?
Yeah, since I started, it's been a huge change. It's like I felt like my career really went from like witnessed like, all phases. When I started, there were lots of riders that were hardly earning a salary and on a world tour team being paid not enough really to live on. And now, like, you see Demi Vollering getting paid almost €1 million.
Do you hear that? She's just said, she's like, oh, good to be paid. It's like crumbs.
So obviously not everyone's getting paid the same as her, but like the salaries have skyrocketed. And people actually see the value and the interest and the fan base, and I think like definitely more races being broadcast has been a huge factor in that. And it's sort of disappointing now, like that. There's these issues with Eurosport and like cycling accessibility to watch races. It's really hard for fans at the moment. Like we're really lucky in Australia that we have SBS, but they don't show all the races. So you're still sort of like scrambling, trying to find Tiz cycling and VPNs and all this, like, it's a bit random. But and just like the teams are so much more professional now. They're like, there's heaps of cool stuff happening. I don't know what the one big thing to boost. I reckon just continuing visibility. If it was announced, I think, over the weekend that the Netflix for the men has been canned. So maybe if they make the Netflix doco for the women and
that's cool.
Something like that, just to, because I think a lot of the fan base for the women have come from people that have been fans of men's cycling.
Yep.
But if you do something that's a little bit more mainstream in the media, like Netflix, then you could start bringing on all these fans that are new to cycling, and they can be interested in women's cycling from the beginning. I don't know.
That's cool.
I think the big thing is just continuing to invest in it. I think they've got to look at it as kind of like a farmer and his crop. There's going to be periods where it's, you've got to continue just investing, because at the end of the day, the performance levels of the women are extremely high, and people are going to be interested in it. It's just continuing to put it out there.
Yeah, and the racing's good. The racing's super interesting. But yeah, I mean, there's always more that can be done at a lower. It's still true that the depth of women's cycling is less, and that comes from the grassroots. So getting more women on bikes, in general, I think is good for the sport.
I think
see the depth's probably not as deep as the men's, but I think
at the top end it's good.
Yes, in terms of who can win a race, I think there's more than in the men's at the moment. It's a little
it's actually
more open. Where if there's 3 or 4 guys turning up, you're okay, well, you know,
that's done.
Where the women's is a little more interesting. That there are quite a few more ladies that could take the win.
Yeah, that's true.
I was going to say, Grace, but you probably know better. But from what it seems like there's actually seems to be a lot more club and Conti women's teams coming through Europe these last few years as well. It seems like there's so many girls now that also have these European teams, which I don't know. Was that always the case for you, or am I wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, it was sort of when I started. It was there were club and Conti teams, but it was you sort of just wanted to go straight to the world tour.
Yeah.
Because they were so bad that, or, it was pretty dismal on those teams.
Yep.
So now there's actually becoming a more stable Conti level.
Yep.
There's still lots of problems. We've seen a lot of teams go under, not paying riders, just those age-old problems.
Yeah.
But because the Conti teams aren't regulated by the UCI, they're regulated by the national organisation. So if it's a Spanish Conti team and the Spanish federation's a bit, it's a bit Spanish.
Yeah.
Then yeah.
No, it makes sense. This is not super high on the priority list.
Yeah, they're just less regulated, so there's more problems.
Yep.
If you could give one bit of advice for a junior or under 19 that's looking at, trying to become a professional cyclist, female cyclist, what would be that bit of advice?
I think it's that there's no easy pathway, and you have to expect that at some points on the journey it's going to be hard, but the one determining factor to making it is picking yourself up and continuing to go for what you dream of achieving.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep. Because it is a rough sport in terms of that. especially
Yeah.
coming from Australia. Like there's going to be a lot more downs than there are ups.
Yeah, and even when you get to the top level, there's still downs. Like
Yeah.
you get more out of it, but it's still pretty shitty at times. But it's also a bit of a test along the way. Like if you can get over some of those hurdles like earlier in your career and keep striving, then you're more likely to succeed in the end.
Yeah,
nice.
nice.
That's good. Well, there's we've got a bunch of questions here that are meant to be like more on the faster side of things, but I feel like because there's a few interesting ones in there, they might take a little bit more time, so I'll probably cut to the chase a little bit earlier. But a bucket list race you've never won?
Flanders. Yeah. Do you want me to?
Go. Elaborate. Well, have you come? You've podiumed Flanders, haven't you?
Yeah, I came third in Flanders, and
what happened that day?
I think that was in 2020, I think.
Yep.
Or 2021, and basically, I'd had quite a few good results leading into that, and the team decided to back me for that race. And the plan was get to the Quarmont, and I had to stick with whoever was drilling it up the Quarmont and then attack afterwards. And I just remember being on Anna van der Breggen's wheel and being you cannot drop this wheel, you cannot drop this wheel. And it was freaking hard. And then I attacked after that, once you get onto the road and it's still dragging up before descending down into the Paterberg, and I got away. But Annemiek chased me down and then caught me just at the base of the Paterberg and went flying up it. And then the others came across to me and she was just gone and we were chasing. So then we didn't catch her, but I sprinted to get on the podium from the chase group.
Still a very good result.
Yeah, but I always felt like it was a race that I could win.
Were those two probably the two that you would say the hardest competition throughout your career, that you notice, or the two girls that you're wow, these they're just the top of the top?
Yeah, I think in different races there were different people that I think now Kopecky and Vollering are better than what Annemiek and van der Breggen were. Although van der Breggen's just come back and she finished third in her first race after 3 years. Yeah. So I won't say too much now before yeah.
All right. Favorite and least favorite session?
Least favorite session was always really anaerobic, sort of max between 30 seconds and a minute max.
Yeah, they're pretty disgusting.
Yeah. And then my favorite sessions was always under overs or 2040s or
something TT specific, clearly.
Yeah.
That's good. For what would you typically get more nervous for, a Flanders or TT? Because Flanders, you have all the sections you got to be ready for, also the risk of crashing, or is it or the TT?
Definitely those classics races I was way more nervous for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there a certain, I guess, myth or biggest myth in cycling that has been debunked along the way, that you just complete bullshit that's been put out there and there's nothing to it?
Pizza legs?
Yeah.
Or meat legs?
Yeah. I've heard that for oat legs. Have you heard of oat legs?
No.
I remember Stu Shaw telling me when I was a junior, he's just like, mate, you can't be having oats before race if you get oat legs. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah,
Really?
mate, they'll be blocked.
I literally had oats before every single race I ever did. So.
Yeah.
That's debunked.
Yeah,
debunked.
But yeah, the red meat thing really annoyed me. Like, we were never allowed to eat red meat when we were racing. Like, our nutritionist just banned it. But I just thought it was such bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that a French thing?
And what was the reason behind that? Like inflammation stuff, or like?
I think that like it's too much for your gut to digest, or I don't know.
Mm.
I didn't really see the logic in it. I'm sure no one ever like read a scientific paper on it.
Yeah, just have it.
Was that a French team that ruled that out?
Yes, but I think it was broader.
Pretty common.
Yeah.
Favorite climb?
Favorite climb?
Or loop?
I don't think I have a favorite climb.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Loop? Favorite loop?
Well, where were you based in? Like, was it Andorra? Like, surely there's plenty of climbs.
I was training in Varese in Italy. I had some some climbs that I like to do my efforts on. Like, there was this climb that a lot of the Aussies that used to live around there called Tre Risotti. It finished up at Alpe Tedesco, so I often used that. It was like a nice gradient, around 7% to do my intervals on. But yeah,
nice. One of the last ones is the French are pretty known for like their weird theories sometimes and weird ways and things like that. But is there any habits that you picked up from your French teammates or French staff that you're like, this is just so French? Like,
yeah, it's important to always eat dessert.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
That's not bad for performance. The French, they had some weird things. I can't think of anything like super crazy at the moment, but yeah.
It's just like counterproductive stuff, like they eat a kilo of cheese but don't eat the crust on their bread or something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
Also, we were told we weren't allowed to have asparagus because it dehydrates you. There's some weird stuff with the food.
Yep. In the peak of the season, how often are you having a day off, if ever?
It's like, it sort of depended what mood my coach was in. Like, sometimes he'd give me a day off every week, just for a random period, and then it would just be like no days off for months.
Yep. Yeah.
But recovery days, like,
easy spin, cafe roll.
Yeah.
Yep. I got one last one. I think your younger sister has been absolutely killing it in the triathlon world.
Oh, that's my cousin. Yeah.
There we go. Is there any desire for coming over to the dark side and giving a triathlon a go, or are you no go?
I don't think so.
No.
The swimming really turns me off.
Yep.
Like, I can swim, but I do not enjoy it.
Yep.
Like, especially the training.
Have you been consulting with her on a TT and that? Because she just won Worlds, so.
Yeah, age group Worlds. She's doing very well. I think as a TT specialist, triathlon time trialing is very frustrating.
Very
Like, they don't do any of the stuff that we do.
Yeah, fair enough.
But so I've just been giving her emotional support, not specific. And also the training's super different. Like, triathlon's like very steady state tempo stuff.
Yep.
Like, she does none of the like higher intensity stuff. Well,
to end it on a good note, Grace, did you want any advice for any under 19s out there, especially now when there's this under 19 craze of you need to be pretty much a professional athlete? as well. I know there's probably some girls and boys listening from Australia that think that their career is be all end all at the age of 18. So anything for them, because you did turn professional quite late.
Yeah, I think that like nothing in life is as much of a rush as you often think it is. If you want something to happen, it can happen in time. And yeah, there's like room to like step away from the sport and come back and like have another go. Yeah, it's not like you've got one shot and then it's all over.
Yep.
Yeah, you see it happen in all sports, that you can come in late. Like obviously, especially like the men's side now, there's a real like moving towards these junior guys coming through already firing, but there's still examples of riders that are coming in later. You just have to find your own way of like proving yourself. Yeah.
No, it's good.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thanks, Grace. That was awesome.
Yeah, and all the best with the new endeavors and the product and the pods and all this new stuff. Exciting.
Yeah, it should be fun keeping myself busy and yeah, all sorts of different stuff, not bored. Anyway.
Awesome.
No, cheers, Grace. Thanks a lot.
So thanks for having me on, guys. It was nice to chat.
No, it's good. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.